Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Mind Catchers channel. Today I'm going to be doing my brows using some of my favorite products. It was requested, so I'm going to go ahead and do this for you guys because I'm going to be doing another tutorial today. But I said before I start my brows, let me go ahead and record this because people ask for it. So what I do is prep my face. Basically, I'm a little ashy. I just washed my face and everything. So I'm just using some of my moisturizer. And I'm taking it through my brows as well because around the perimeter of my face is very dry. I have combination skin. My T-zone area is the most oily area on my face. Right in here, down the nose, across the nose, and the tops of my cheeks. Very, very oily. So my brows tend to get little dry patches and things like that. And as you know, when you go over those areas with makeup, it flakes up, it looks gross. So you want to moisturize first. Now the next thing I do is I add my primer in my brows. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there. And this is regular eyeshadow primer. Going in the opposite direction of the way my hair grows. I'm going to get that all through the brow. So with most eyeshadow primers, they ask you to wait about 30 seconds for it to do whatever it does. And then you start to paint on your brows or your eyeshadow. All right, so I'm going to bring my mirror in so I can see what I'm doing pretty clearly. All right, I think I got you in as close as I can. All right, what I like to use is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Perfect Brow Pencil. This one's in the shade dark brown. As you can see, it has a spoolie on one side and the pencil on the other side. Let me give you a swatch. Because my brows are fairly dark, so I use dark brown. I don't use black. I feel like black looks a little too fake, but I get as close to black as I can. And just basically brush my brows how I want them to be. Now I like the front of my brow kind of sticking up a bit and then the back laying down like so. But of course my brows don't stay like that. So that is why I use a gel. Now, I recently saw someone using, just in case you don't have a gel and you don't mind doing this, I saw someone using the Got To Be styling gel on their brows. I saw that today on Instagram and it worked. So whatever works, okay? So I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel. They have lots of different ones. They have dark browns, things like that. I just used the clear one. Swirl it around in there, get enough gel on there. And I actually brush the beginning of my brows up because that's how I like them to be. And these brows back here, I kind of push them backwards like that. Then you're going to have to wait a second because you can feel the wetness on your brow. You're going to have to wait a second and let it kind of freeze down, dry down. And those brows should stay in place. All right, guys, I've allowed it to dry long enough. I'm going to go ahead and start painting on this brow here. So what I like to do, now this is just me. You don't have to have your hand up here if you don't need to. But this brow is lower than this brow. This brow is my higher brow. This one behaves better. I really like this one better. So I always start off on the one that's terrible, and that way I know it's done and I'm moving on. So I kind of take this hand and kind of hike up the arch where I want it to be, and that's how I draw it on. So I start from right about here. And guys, it is important to have a sharpened pencil. My pencil is a little dull, but that's okay. Okay, I hope you guys can see where I drew my arch. right there. And now I'm going to go above it. Now when you see my pencil moving like this, that means I'm filling in bald spots. Any spots where I don't see much hair, I'm not doing it too heavily. The way I feel about it is the less you have to fill in, the more natural it looks. So don't just, you know, rub all of your pencil down in one spot, because it's going to get darker and thicker and darker and thicker, and it doesn't look real. Let me sharpen my pencil just a bit. Okay. Yeah, the more you have to fill in my opinion, the less realistic it looks. And even though you're going to go over it with a little concealer and fix things, you want to try to make things look as neat as possible. Take your time, because you don't want a lot of caked up concealer above and below your brow either. Okay, so that's what it looks like before I use any concealer. I don't really like a very pointy arch, so that's something I'm going to be fixing. But overall, that's what my hair and everything looks like. Once you do the concealer, it's really going to make everything look natural. So let's do that. I'm using the CoverGirl True Blend concealers. One is in bronze, and that's the lighter color I use below the brow. And then the darker one is called, well, this is the darkest in their line. This one is called Espresso. And it's actually too dark for the top part of my brow. So what I do is mix them. Okay. So I'm going to do the bottom part of my brow first. Now, some people like brushes that are like flat brushes. I like, I've been rolling with the same brow brush for a very long time. It is terrible, but I love it. It's like an angled brush. I can use the flatter brushes, but once you get used to a brush, you just don't want to put it down. Okay, so an angled brush is my choice. Again, I'm putting that hand up there to kind of give me a little stability and guide myself. I have my elbow rested on the table here. If you're a person that's a little shaky, rest your elbow on the table. Rest your fingers, your pinky on your cheek, and go for it. You're basically putting the concealer right where your hair ends, right where that pencil starts. You're going to put the concealer right there. And once I get the concealer where I want it to be, I pull down on it, blend it towards the lid of my eye here. Just get rid of all of that excess concealer. But as you can see, the bottom of the brow is neat. Very, very neat. I go to the front here. I just picked up a little bit of concealer. I have it here in my hand. I go to the front. And really make my line nice and sharp here in the front. It also gives that faded effect. I kind of like that. I know it's kind of played out, but I think it still looks pretty nice if you know what you're doing with it. I'm adding a little bit of the darker concealer in. Now both concealers are on my hand, And I'm just taking my brush and swirling them around and creating a darker shade. And then I brush off a little bit on my hand. It's like my hand is my palette. It's like an artist's palette. I want my brush to kind of be dry, just a little bit of concealer on there. And I'm pressing, let me get rid of a little bit more concealer. I'm pressing my hand against my forehead here, resting my hand. And I'm following the hairline. Now you guys know I did tell you that I didn't like that arch being so high and so sharp. So I'm going to round it out when I get to that spot. I hope I'm holding my head well enough for you guys to see what I'm doing. Okay. So I rounded it out a little bit. It's not as sharp as it was. This is kind of hard to do, trying to look in the mirror and make sure you guys see what I'm doing. Okay. So you see my brow there. I got a few hairs now that I've tamed it. I have a few hairs that are poking out. Now sometimes I will go ahead and cut those little hairs because I know next time I don't want to see them. But for the purposes of the video, I'm going to go right in this area and fill in. I could even take the clear brow gel and go back through and kind of try to tame those hairs. I'm also going to work on the tail now. I'm not too happy with the tail. So I'm going to take a little bit of concealer. Now this tutorial is definitely for people with struggling brows. My brows are pretty thin from years of plucking and doing bad things. Some of you guys have perfect brows. All you have to do is go somewhere, get them nice and trimmed and, you know, maintained. And all you have to do is kind of use a little eyeshadow and just fill them in. But for those of us who have barely anything and you got to technically draw it in, it's a chore. Because I feel like sometimes your face doesn't look finished without nice brows. And this is another reason why my brows don't look the same in every video. Sometimes I like them a little thicker, sometimes a little thinner. Sometimes I mess up and I just have to get them even. So things happen. I'm not ashamed to say that. Things happen. And I'm like, oh gosh, you know, I've had to wipe them completely off and start over again. I don't always get them right on the first try. Right now, I'm not really happy with them, but they will do. So I play around with the front a little bit, fade it out, add it in, do whatever. And then that arch is killing me right now. I'm not really happy with it. I think I want to take it, I want to start the arch a little bit before that. I feel like my arch is too far back. So what I do is come back to where the arch is and start curving my brush a little before I get to it. Like I want it to start here. So I'm going to start curving my brush. Yeah. And it just moves my arch a little bit further in. I like that placement a little bit better. So there you have it, my before and after. Now the trick is trying to get this brow to match that one. As far as height is concerned, they look about right. I did build this one up to look just about the right height. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on this one. We're gonna speed it up a bit because this is my good brow. Like I said, it pretty much obeys commands. So we're just gonna go from here. Alright guys, so that is as good as I'm going to get these suckers today. It's like brows know when you're doing a tutorial on them, so they start acting real stupid. But this is about as good as we're going to get. I'm just applying a little bit more gel because these hairs in the front do what they want to do. I did manipulate them a bit. I did move them around. As you can see, this brow, I know I sped things up and everything, but this brow is so much easier. So much easier. It could be the fact that I'm right-handed and this is easier. I don't know. I really don't know. Could it be that it grows a little better? I don't know. It is a little higher, so maybe the arch is a little easier to see. I really don't know, but I always say this in my brow tutorials that brows are not twins. They are sisters. So one may be a little higher than the other. One might just have some hairs that are just out of place. It's always like that. I was just telling one of my friends the other day, what did we do like in high school with our brows? The brows were just doing what they wanted to do back then and nobody even cared. But nowadays when you walk around with your brows looking messy, people are like, you know. I'm trying right now to let my brows grow out. So if you are a person with eyebrows that might, like mine, that might be a little higher, one higher than the other, stuff like that, try your best to let it grow. Use a little bit of black Jamaican castor oil at night or just a regular castor oil and rub it through your brows at night. That helps to thicken them up a little bit. Try to go and get them professionally arched, at least the top and the bottom, so you can see where your line starts, and go from there. That's the best advice I can give you. Right now I'm trying not to mess with them as far as cutting too much. This one is doing much better than this one, but they're getting there. They're getting there. Okay, so I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you to everybody who was asking for a brow tutorial. You see what I go through. It's been about being honest with you guys. I've been in this room about 20 minutes. Now, you know, lots of us beauty bloggers and people who do videos, influencers, they make it seem very quick, but usually my brows take me a very long time. That's like the longest time for anything on my face, my brows. After that, everything else is a breeze. So just putting into perspective for you. Don't feel bad that you're spending a lot of time on your brows because we all do, okay? I will talk to you guys in the next video. Cyber kisses. Bye.